Hey, how's it going everybody? It's your bro here, hope you're doing well, and in this video I'm going to be teaching you guys all about different transformation techniques in CSS, and I would say that this is a video you'll want to watch before we move on to the topic of animations. So, let's get into it. Before you reach the end of this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so that we together can challenge and defeat the mighty YouTube algorithm. Transform is a CSS property that can be used to apply a two-dimensional or three-dimensional transformation of a base element. We can transform elements by making them rotate, move, skew them, or increase or decrease the scaling of its dimensions. So transformations is something we'll want to learn before we get into animations, where we might apply transformations over time then. So let me demonstrate this by first creating some sample text on our HTML document. We're just going to add a few lines, maybe a paragraph tag, and I'll give this a unique ID of P1. And we'll need some sample text. I'll just type in the word hi. Maybe add a line break. And then let's create a P2 paragraph. So P1 is going to be like our control, and P2 is what we're going to be applying transformations to. Let's save this, reload the page. Let's go to our style sheet, clear this out. And let's turn each of these paragraphs into a visible square that says the word hi in the middle of it. So I'm going to target all paragraph tags by placing P here. I'll give this a width of 100 pixels. And a background color. How about red? A font size. 85 pixels should be good, just so we can increase the size of the word hi. Text align center, and I'll set a margin of 0 pixels. Let's save, reload the page. This should work then. So P1 is going to be our control basically, and P2 is what we're going to apply transformations to. So I'll just write that here. So P1, we're not really going to put anything here, and then P2 is where we'll be adding values to a transformation property. All right, so let's begin by translating P2 along the x-axis. So we're going to use the transform property, and we're going to say translate x, and we're going to put an amount of pixels here. So if we were to say 50 pixels, save and reload this, well, our P2 paragraph is going to be translated 50 pixels on the x-axis. All right, so let me show you translate y. So I'm just going to turn this into a comment, and I'm honestly just going to copy this and paste it right underneath. This time we're going to do translate y, so it's going to move up and down on the y-axis now. So a positive amount of pixels will move this downwards, whereas a negative would move this upwards actually. All right, so that's the translate y transformation. And let me turn that into a comment. I guess I'm going to go pretty quickly through these. So then you can kind of combine the two. But let me put the word transform here first. Transform. So it's just translate. So you're going to put two fields within here. Let's say we want this to move on the x-axis 50 pixels and on the y-axis 50 pixels. So this will take two values, x and y. Let's save this, reload. So this moved down and to the right by 50 pixels depending on the values we placed here. All right, let's move on. So that's all about using the translate property then. So next we're going to rotate our icon, our paragraph. So transform, rotate x. This will rotate an element on the x-axis. Let's say 180 degrees. Save, reload. You can see that this kind of like flipped upside down now as if it rotated. All right. So we'll rotate y next. So I'm going to copy this, paste it, rotate y. It's actually kind of difficult to understand these since this is like a two-dimensional screen, but you can see that it's kind of like these letters are inverted now. And when we get to animations, you can actually see these things rotate. All right, let's rotate z now. So this is like the standard rotation for a like 2D plane basically. And then you can just use the rotate property, which is basically the same thing. So you might either see like rotate or rotate Z, but they apparently do the same thing. Okay, so that's it for rotations. Let's move on to scaling. So scale X, and then we'll put a number here. So if we want to double the scaling on the x-axis for an element, we'll put scale x2 here. So this gives an appearance that it's stretching, or we could half it by putting 0.5, where it's very skinny now. All right, then we can scale y. So I'll copy this, turn this into a comment, paste it, and this time we will scale y. So now it's stretched on the y-axis, or if we change this to 0.5, it's now kind of squished. And then you can combine the two where it's just scale. And then this will take two values. So the first one is x, the second one is y. So 2 and 2 would stretch it like both ways on the x-axis and the y-axis. Sorry, I'm going kind of quick here, but we're almost done. All right, next we have skew y. And we list degrees here. So if we were to put 45 degrees, this would skew this on the y-axis. So it gets kind of funky right here. And there's also skew x. Yep, and it's skewed on the x-axis now. All right, lastly, I'm going to show you a matrix. So we're going to transform matrix. And this actually takes 6 fields, so I'll just put zeros here for now. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so apparently this disappeared. So let me show you what the value of each of these stands for. All right, the first one is scale x. Second is skew y, followed by skew x, scale y. I swear I didn't remember these. I have a cheat sheet next to me. I'd be impressed if somebody can remember these. Translate x and translate y. All right, so in order, each of these numbers represents what kind of transformation you're doing. Now, if you want your element to at least appear, scale x as well as scale y has to be a number greater than 0. So the baseline would be 1 for the first position, and the fourth position would be 1 as well. So this is the standard that we have. Now, if we actually change this to maybe 0.5 as well as scale y, well, what happens is that we have a miniature version of our element that we're targeting. Now, let's plug in some random numbers for these other properties here. So skew y, maybe I'll place 1. Same thing with skew x. For translate x and translate y, maybe I'll just place 50. And let's see what this looks like. We're now applying a bunch of transformations all at once. So this is what this looks like now. It's kind of funky, but it's pretty interesting. So that's using a matrix for a transformation. It's as if we're combining 6 different transformations all at once, depending on which values we place here. So that's the basics of transformations. I'll post all of this in the comments down below if you would like a copy for yourself. And in the next lesson, we're going to get into animations, so you'll want to be sure you at least have a basic understanding of some of these transformations. But yeah, that is how the transform property works in CSS. Hey you. Yeah, I'm talking to you. If you learned something new, then you can help me help you in 3 easy steps by smashing that like button, drop a comment down below, and subscribe if you'd like to become a fellow bro.